Hello there. It's that time again, joining Global Ed and the team of experts and professional development on life skills having to do with gardening for elementary school students. Take a look at what we have to offer today as our training specialist, Michelle Bell, gives us a wonderful project building activity and exercises on gardening. Here we go. Let's get this one. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to move on at our starter, which is 10 minutes. And I'm going to start with I Can Grow a Flower. It's by Dawn Sirett. It's a book. And reading books on the subject matter, I think, is very helpful. This particular book is about the responsibility of raising a flower. You're starting with, this little pot of dirt, you're putting in the seed, getting a seedling, and then you're getting a plant, and then you get the flower, and then you have to maintain it after all of this. So it's a whole process explained in this little children's book. Um, Gardening abilities connect children to how to observe soil, pollutants, weather, animals, which opens their minds to recognize environmental issues, and it familiarizes them with science and study plants and sustainability. So simply reading about gardening and the responsibilities of raising flowers introduces students to all of this. Having gardening life skills prepares and introduces students for career opportunities, such as botanists, environmentalists, scientists, meteorologists, and ways to increase sustainability. So I encourage reading books on gardening and about flowers and growing things as much as possible. Michelle, before you move on to your next slide, I just wanted to
Mhm.
comment on something that you did say earlier, and it had to do with um, sometimes kids have a fear of the ground and the dirt and that it's dirty, etc. And, just from a personal standpoint, growing up as a child, my mom always kind of had flowers growing, and she was very much where she would go out and get her hands dirty and in the dirt. And I just remembered that was just her thing. And as a kid, I was never interested in it. And I don't know really why, but
I was kind of a scary kid and I didn't like creepy crawly things. And I remember once that my mom had started this garden on the side of our house, and she had planted tomatoes, and as much as they were just beautiful, and we would have them, for dinner or whatever. It was funny because I once was out and about over near the garden and ran across, as I was looking deeper in, kind of like a caterpillar that was on the tomatoes. You were talking about some of the critters that get on there, and so this freaked me out so much that it was just like, it kind of, to this day, it's like we call it the heebie-jeebies of gardening. And
Right.
it kind of left this lasting impression. It's just like, oh no, there's too much of the unknown in gardening. And so for many years, I really was afraid of it. And as I said, I never did it as a young adult. My thing was, my contribution was watering. I love to go out and water the vegetables and the grass, and um, the flowers. So I didn't have a problem with that, but that was really my thing. And even as an adult, that became my area where I love to relax and just go out into nature. So it's really interesting of how at an early age we need to introduce children to the realities of it. And I never realized the significance of them understanding it. To be honest, I never understood the all the hoopla of new people that were getting into gardening and herbal gardening, etc. I didn't get it. And all of a sudden I just had a light bulb moment, you know over the past 4 or 5 years, with especially sustainability factors and using that as a teaching tool. And yeah,
Right.
so I just wanted to chime in on that. So now I've kind of gotten over that scary part of bugs and flying insects and creepy crawler things. But now that I even have a grandson, it's just like, I want to get him interested in it early so that, it's just part of who he is. So there you go.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. But and I find that to be true because myself, as a child, um, like my mom was very hands-on in the garden as well, and she's the one that introduced me to the but letting a caterpillar crawl on my hand, or putting a butterfly or a ladybug or an ant, letting them, not to be afraid to touch them, and being, it's okay to get in the dirt and get dirty and such. But my friends that I played with weren't having it.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's a bug. They're scared. They didn't want to play in the dirt. I was this oddball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, now you've
so
come into your own. And I really
yeah,
think that, as teachers, educators, this is something that we can kind of put, put to ease, this thing that, I mean, ladybugs and all of this, ants even, having everyone, all of these God's creatures have a purpose one way or another. And it just shows that I think as educators, when we introduce this to our children, they take it home to their parents,
mhm.
and they really do incite the excitement that can come out of it. So yeah.
Right, right, exactly. And I like that you pointed that out. We as the educators, it's our duty to pass that on to them
Mhm.
and show them this is not something to fear, that everything has a purpose, and just like we do, they do too. So, okay, but I'll move on now for interest of time. But teacher presented knowledge. This is an I do that you can do 10 minutes. I started here with child safety in the garden because as teachers, you know, we want to make it a safe place. Um, Garden organically, try not to use chemicals. Um, Try to find natural ways, like natural ways to protect tomato plants is you can grow basil near your tomato plants. It kind of keeps what they call the hornworms away. Um, Having thyme and lavender circles around your tomatoes, it repels slugs. So, you know, and as you pursue your garden and study it, you'll learn more of this along the way so that you don't have to just have like pesticides and chemicals. If you just know what repels what, you can put them around each other to make that work. Another is don't leave like buckets of water unattended around very young children. You you always have to be mindful of things like that. Select tools that are safe and the correct size for your students. So like your older students, you can, you know, give them shovels, but maybe your younger students, you want to give them just a little hand trowel. Um, and also maybe depending where you are, provide a shade cloth in the summer to prevent sunburn. It can get pretty hot out there. Um, And then you can create with students a list of steps on what's needed in the garden, like tools, types of seeds, soil, water. Also, you can make a list of flowers, fruits, vegetables that your class wants to plant, what they're interested in, what they want to research. And also, they need to research when to plant them because with the garden, you know, things are seasonal. So if you want something to have, if you want to have a harvest in the fall, you got to know when to plant that. So now we're going to guided student practice. We do, and these are about 15 minutes. Activities in the garden. They can you can have them digging and preparing the soil. You Here we go with the composting, recycling, mulching. This is like we were talking about it earlier. Um, Having that composting pot once you figured out something secure to keep it in, so you keep the dogs out. You can show the students, you know, they can have a little snack in the garden, have them put their banana peels or apple cores, you know, in this composting pile and show them this is natural recycling system and it breaks down and makes nutrients in the dirt, making the soil good. They can mix the dirt to mulch. And also, another good practice is set up a recycling bin. And it really shows the students how to separate and recycle um, trash. I know it's not composting, but I feel like that's just as important too. Like on different products, you'll see the recycling symbols on there. They'll have ones, twos, threes, fours, fives, and six. And the different ones that can be recycled, have them put that in those recycling bins. I, I'm kind of an advocate for this. I had the privilege of living in Germany for a couple of years, and I was just amazed at their system of recycling. Every street corner had not only a waste can, but there were like six other pails beside it, and each one was labeled with like glass or plastic or paper. And they totally, that's just the way their whole system operates, and it's so efficient. And I feel like here we struggle with that because we really don't take the time to learn, or no one teaches or we just don't bother. We just shove it all in a, a can, or we don't even put it in a can. We just throw it, and make trash. So uh, it's another way to teach responsibility is learn to recycle and composting and mulching. Also, we have planting vegetables, fruits, flowers in their correct season. Watering, just sometimes children will think because if they flood it, ooh, this is good, but no, that'll make the seeds come out of the dirt, wash it away. Also, if they don't get enough water, they're not getting the nutrients that they need from the water. So knowing the balancing of how much watering needs to be taught. Picking flowers and harvesting fruits and vegetables, and making healthy salads from their harvest. I know I like you, Kim, you were showing their harvest in the backyard. Once you gather that, you want to chop it up and put it in a salad and eat it. It's kind of it's the whole process.
Right, absolutely.
Okay. Student independent practice. This is a you do, and this is about 30 minutes. Here's a little project I thought you could either do. You can do this in the garden, but you can also do this as an indoor classroom activity. It's called Eggshell Seed Starter. So basically what you need is like 3 to 5 eggshells per student. You need some soil. Um, Sunflower seeds are the fastest. So if those would be good seeds to start with. Some water, you need a spoon and a spray bottle. And what you would do is each egg maybe on the, I don't know, not the bottom part, well, the bottom part of the egg is lightly crack it so that the inside of the egg comes out, and then you have the whole, most of the shell in staying in without destroying the whole eggshell when you crack it. But you set the eggs in your eggshell in an egg carton, and you add some soil, and you have the students push the seed in the soil till it's covered, and use a little spray bottle to dampen the soil so you don't overwater. But you give the seeds about 3 days to start on their own, and then you can open the eggshells, or you can to examine the seed. You can have them note the changes that take place. It helps your students observe, and this is a good time to encourage them to ask questions. They can draw the life cycle of the seed and keep notes. And finally, afterwards, they can take that little seedling and transfer it into a little pot to continue watching the growth in their classrooms. But this is kind of a fun project that you could do in the garden, or you can do it in the classroom.
Michelle, I have a question on this. If you can go back to that last slide.
Yeah, this one?
Yeah. On this, it says, then you open the eggshell to examine it. What do you mean by open the shell? I mean, I didn't get that part.
Well, see how you have the shell and it's dirt, but after 3 days, if you don't see the sprout, if you just you can break open the shell and find the seedling, and you will see how the seed is starting to grow. You'll see the little split and the little green sprout coming out, and how it kind of curves around the seed.
Right.
You don't usually get to see that because it's in the dirt.
I see. Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of observing something that's underground.
Right.
So
right.
The eggshell just allows you, it's something easy to break open.
Yeah. Now,
so
my next question, as you can see, I'm going to try this, obviously.
Good.
is what about when you transfer that to a pot? Do you leave it in the shell or do you remove the shell?
You can remove the shell.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just put it back into some dirt and let it continue growing.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay. You're going to be an expert too. Okay. Now our closure, which is like 5 minutes. Review with students the importance of taking responsibility in the garden. Encourage students to be diligent in learning about the environment as they are, if they're the future caretakers. And if anything is taught, that is what I feel like students should walk away with. You know, um, as I grow up, this responsibility is going to be on me, and I need to know how to do this. This is important. Um, so I think, yeah, right here. Oh, here we go. And here's some questions for assessment. Uh, what gardening responsibilities did we work on today? Okay, maybe you did weeding and you took the weeds out. Maybe you planted the seeds today. But those are things that you can go over and discuss all the responsibilities and what it took to get there. Um, and then, what does it mean to be a responsible caretaker for the environment? You know, thinking of um, using the garden as an example, but making them also think about outside of the garden, their neighborhood, their community, their city, their state. And it just starts them thinking about sustainability, and environmental issues, which which right now is very important. So right here, Kim, I'm going to have you, if you don't mind, uh, play I guess, the activities
Sure.
clip. Okay.
Sure.
So
One other thing I wanted to add on here would be the possibilities of using this again as an area of taking responsibility as well, to another level. For example, I know oftentimes in maybe at the middle school level or high school level, I know years ago we used to have in classes maybe like life skills really, and they would have this one area of maybe taking care of an egg, such as if you're learning to take care of someone else or a person, or they would say you have responsibility of taking care of your egg, for example, and then all day they would have to know where their egg was, what the egg was doing, was the egg safe, was it, all of these type of things. And so I know that it really did teach responsibility for kids that were maybe coming home on the bus or having to ride their bicycle home, etc. But they would still have to be responsible for this egg that didn't crack, get damaged, whatever. So
right.
I'm wondering if it might be another idea to add the gardening, such as a plant
Mhm.
in the classroom. Once this seedling takes place or whatever,
Mhm.
that this would be another way that maybe their small plant or their flower or whatever the educator, the teacher chooses to use might result in how you take care of this plant over a month or something like that. And so yeah, and I really think that it adds a bonding, it allows responsibility, and it's really a nice exercise that I know that has been utilized in various ways. So using that as a plant and taking care of plant as well, that could be another one. Okay,
Yeah.
so Michelle, you can go off
Yeah.
share screen. And before I go into this next one, does anyone have any questions or comments? Let's make sure that we're getting this as far as, well participation on this. Any
Right.
questions, comments? What do you guys think about these options and bringing it into the classroom? Uh-oh, no comments. Okay, no worries. All right, I'll go into this next portion of learning about just different activities. And I think that it's very important for us as educators to have a wide variety of activities, outdoor activities. So this next segment will definitely take on making sure that we are incorporating active learning and outdoor learning opportunities. So let's take a look at this and make sure we have some new skills.
A race? Yeah. Okay.
Children's learning is not limited to the indoor classroom environment or to particular times of the preschool day.
Woo!
During outside time in an active learning setting, children extend their indoor play to the outdoors, where they have opportunities to learn through healthy, energetic activity, social interaction, problem solving with peers,
David's saying he wants a turn on the swing.
Well, we just first got on.
You just got on, so how could we take a turn?
equipment and materials,
Gotta work.
Look at that.
and encounters with nature.
I can't.
Ooh, he's wiggly, isn't he?
Look, I found a root.
You found a what? A root? Where?
In this video, you will see how teachers in high scope programs support children's learning at outside time,
We show Kaylee where it is.
participating in children's outdoor play, and conversing and interacting with children at their level. Alert to children's interests in the outdoors, high scope teachers look for opportunities to join children as they observe, experiment with, and draw conclusions about the natural world.
What does it smell like?
Dandelion.
Smells like a dandelion. Do you want one, DJ?
The outdoors is a wonderful place for children. At outside time, children breathe fresh air, exercise their muscles, and challenge their physical capabilities. Outside, they're free to run, roll down hills, swing, slide, push and pull wheeled toys, and engage in vigorous and noisy play, the kind of play that is not generally available to them indoors. They also get to use equipment and materials, climbers, earth,
They like to live deep down in the dirt, so dig deep down in there.
faster movements. At outside time, children use all of their senses to experience their natural surroundings, such as the texture of tree bark, the smell of dried leaves, and the sound of the wind.
Put it in. Is it gonna come down? Let's see. I hear it. I hear it.
At outside time, as in other parts of the high scope daily routine, adults in high scope settings join in and support children's play,
Is it coming?
build on children's interests, and use high scope's 5 ingredients of active learning.
Whoa! There they all come.
In the outside environment, materials include stationary playground structures, wheeled toys, Items children can throw, kick, roll, push and pull. Gardening equipment. Sand and water materials. Construction materials.
What's that part do?
Make sure to wipe all the dirt things off.
Oh, you wipe all the dirty. I could help get the dirty parts off.
Materials for dramatic and pretend play.
She's done.
Is she feeling better?
Be careful.
Be careful with her.
I'll be careful.
Okay.
And art materials. Inside materials, for example, musical instruments, small vehicles, chalk,
Now open it. There's a raised hand.
and dollhouse furniture and figures can be used outside to extend the ways children play with them. A blanket under a tree provides a comfortable spot for peaceful reflection, reading, or other quiet activities.
Hello, sir. What's the problem?
How about if we try using a stick to get it open?
We'll get that open.
I wonder if we could use a stick to open it.
In the outdoor environment, children have the opportunity to manipulate materials and ideas, exploring,
You want to try it? You got some too?
putting things together and taking them apart, and otherwise transforming them in different
How
ways.
much did you open yours? Oh, there's a little black part inside.
You stepped in and flipped it around. I don't know,
Children make choices about materials and how to use them,
like that?
and they initiate activities that grow out of their individual interests.
I found this. I drawed it last time, and then it was right on the ground, and I picked it up, and then I saw, I drawed on it. I remember, and then I found this little...
Children communicate about what they are doing or thinking at outside time as adults encourage and expand on children's outside experiences.
Kind of looks like a vase. Flower holder, if you hold it up.
It's my magic.
Your magic one. I'm wondering what you did to make the colors on here.
As in other times of the day, teachers plan for outside time by observing children, considering their developmental needs and interests,
There's no boats there.
and providing materials and support to contribute to children's learning. Adults provide materials and organize them so children are able to use them and put them away independently.
Well, let's go adventure.
So we're going to go on an adventure like a trip?
Yes.
Looks like we've got something packed right there.
Yes.
We need to have one of those. Do we need anything else?
During outside time, children engage in the same 4 types of play as indoors, but with characteristics unique to playing outside.
I see something crawling over here. Do you see it?
I got him!
Exploratory play. They examine materials
What did you find?
and see what their bodies are capable of. Constructive play. They build things with whatever the program and nature provide. Pretend play. They take on different roles and imagine themselves to be in different places.
So now what are you going to do? Superhero?
Oh,
Did you get all your powers back?
yeah. I think there's somebody in trouble. I think that was superheroes.
So you have to go save them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they invent games of their own. The emphasis is on making up and being part of the game, not winning. And the rules may keep changing.
Let's stop for a minute. Jamira, is it okay for Cameron to jump on you when he catches you?
No.
As they experience the outdoors environment, children also carry on conversations with adults and other children, and they solve problems that they encounter in play.
Just touch.
Just touch her. Can you remember that?
This, like this.
With your finger. Will that work for you? Just to touch? All right, can you remember?
With access to outdoor play structures, toys, and materials, as well as to natural features such as hills and tree stumps, children take on new challenges at their own pace. Pumping,
Hey, Casey. You're so pretty today.
pedaling, climbing,
I'm watching.
jumping, steering, throwing, hitting, and catching.
Ready?
Outside, children may interact with their peers and adults in different ways and have opportunities to demonstrate different abilities and personalities than they do inside.
Okay, morning time.
At outside time, children may also discover ways to play with peers they don't typically engage with indoors, drawn together by the common space of the sandbox or swings, or helping one another maneuver or balance large equipment. Adults in active learning setting look forward to outside time as an opportunity to continue working and conversing with children.
You want to look at it closely. This is a magnifying glass. And if you look through there, it's real close. Can you see them? See it.
The role of adults at outside time is very similar to their role at work time. Just as they do inside the classroom, adults at outside time focus their attention on the children, playing as partners to understand and support children's outdoor initiatives and learning, whether they are looking for bugs,
See another one moving?
9, 10. All right, here I come. I'm looking for Marigold and Deja.
playing a game of tag or hide and seek, catching and throwing balls,
Okay, I'll throw, you catch. Oh, one hand!
or blowing and popping bubbles.
Can you catch it? Oh, they're kind of high. Let's blow them down low.
During outside time, adults observe and interact with children to learn more about their interests and development.
Do you like hot dogs, Joshua?
I like tofu hot dogs.
You like tofu hot
I
dogs?
like corn dogs.
You like corn dogs?
I like hot dogs.
And hot dogs.
They take anecdotal notes, recording what children do and say while they're outside.
Isn't it nice and cozy to sit down in the grass?
Adults look for natural opportunities to talk with children as they play by joining children at their level. Adults offer comments and observations about what they see children doing and respond to children's conversational leads.
We got candy.
Oh, it was the Memorial Day parade, I bet. The police cars were blocking the road.
Yeah.
Yep. Whoa, there it is. You're getting higher.
They call attention to things related to children's interests that the children might not even notice on their own. Cloud patterns,
No rain.
You think so? Do those clouds look like the clouds that were out yesterday?
They're trying to block us from the sun.
They're trying to block us from the sun, aren't they? The sun is behind the cloud.
the seeds inside a flower,
How does yours feel? Does it feel soft like that one?
Scratchy.
More scratchy?
or the similarities and differences between their sand houses and those made by their peers.
Yours looks kind of like mine, Ella. What do you think, Maeve? Let's look at ours.
Ideally, the outdoor play area should be easily accessible from the indoor play space.
Run back down, run!
The environment should include wide open spaces,
I don't think he's playing anymore.
surfaces for riding toys and bouncing balls, as well as areas for more quiet or solitary play.
Look at my place. It's right out there.
In some settings, such as elementary school settings, programs may have to share space and equipment intended for older children. In these instances, adults may need to assess whether stationary equipment is safe and appropriate for young children and limit access if necessary. Adults should also schedule outside time when the playground is not being used by older children. If there is no public space available, programs might consider sharing an outside space with a local church, a school, YMCA, or business, or develop a rooftop play area. When programs do not have outside space available on site, one option may be to carry portable playground materials to a neighborhood park. Before taking children to an off-site location, adults should visit the site beforehand to inspect equipment and make sure the environment is hazard-free.
Hi!
If possible, adults should visit at the same time of day as they plan to take the children to see how crowded the park is at that time and adjust their routine accordingly.
Yes! The playground!
Since these public places may not be fenced, adults should consider setting up physical or visual boundaries, such as orange cones placed on the grass or a bright ribbon tied to a tree to help children know where they can play.
The bell's ringing. That means it's time to clean up. Find a toy to put away in the shed.
Adults bring outside time to a close by giving children a warning so they have time to bring their play to an end.
Can you make sure there's room for one more bike? Is there a way to arrange it so we can have room?
Adults and children work together to gather and put away materials.
Time to go inside and wait for Mom and Dad.
It is essential for children's growth and development to have time each day to play in a safe place outdoors.
Okay, I'm gonna get down low in this corner.
The adult plays a vital and active role during outside time, providing engaging materials, playing with children as partners, and following their lead.
This one on this one, it gets the giant ball and put that automatically.
Oh, okay, here, I'll hold this. You get the tire.
Adults recognize that outside time offers children the opportunity to construct and test knowledge through their own initiatives and interactions, and to learn about the world outside their classroom door.
What is that?
See? It looks like ice cream.
It looks like ice cream.
We gotta wait till they get out of the way and then you can give us a push.
So remember, no matter what the season, outdoor play is important and fun.
Okay, Miranda, give us a big push. Here we go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, watch out. Go.
Okay, so basically what this bit of information has indicated for us is, of course, that we need to ask the question, why is outside learning vital? So I'd like to discuss this a little bit and take some comments as to why it is important or not. And let's go ahead and engage in some dialogue here. Ms. Spinelli, I see that you're here. I see your smiley face. Any comments on today's activities? I know this last portion outlined the importance is in this high scope learning has to do with us looking into different structures and toys and how to push, pull, shout, using different ways of the environment and utilizing all aspects of learning. And so I think it's very much needed for us to utilize the inside environment as well as our outside environment to teach and use as teachable moments. Any other comments?
I was going to mention I like the part where the kids had to use, well, they were outdoors and they had to use their sense I think that's something for sure our FACE kiddos in pre-K, kindergarten, early childhood, like they could definitely learn to use their senses to describe, to engage with, depending on whatever it is. Like I know the kids, I think they were outside in the with the leaves, and then just having like that outdoor play. I think that's important. And I've been trying to read on like different ways that the teachers can engage the students virtually. Instead of them just having to sit there and be connected online, but also looking at different ways to, have them get up and move around. Being in this pandemic, it feels like, a lot of our families want to stay home, and that's great because that was our Navajo Nation order. And that's what's keeping everyone safe from, getting out there. But I also see the importance of exercise and, the need to stimulate them physically. So I know I was talking to a couple of teachers about this, like, what do we do? What can we implement at our school that's still healthy? But I know, there's not much we can do. We won't be able to see them in person, but we can certainly look at different ways to activate their brains through physical activity. And I know that video was a little bit older and we're in a different time right now, but still the importance of, having the children get out there and be able to touch and feel, to talk about, to describe, to follow directions, to ask questions. I think those are all still very important. And how do we do that in our day and time and where we're at with the pandemic? So I just want to comment on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your comment. One of the ideas that I think of becoming as creative as possible as parents and families have had to readjust to this indoor style. So it really involves the instructor being able to pass on these different activities to the students and their families. I know with your program with FACE, these are good times to suggest bringing in these new activities right into the home. Yes, we can't necessarily go out and to the parks. I know a lot of the parks are still off limits, where kids can't go out there. And so it just shows us the importance of a new style of thinking. Certain ways that I suggest teachers sharing with their families and with parents is to navigate scavenger hunts, perhaps in the household. When we're talking about touching, the feeling, and smelling, all of these types of things, there's simple things of utilizing that in the classroom. I'll never forget something that was still impressionable to me as an adult that I learned in elementary school. And it was the importance of, I remember this exercise that we did in class, in the classroom. One teacher, probably 20 students, 25 students, whereas they passed around this brown paper bag, of course, filled with all different types of items, and you would have to put your hand in there and try to recognize whatever that was by touch, by feel, or whatever, and then you'd have to describe that. And so that's something, as I said, to this day that I feel that was very instrumental, that can be used in the home. Perhaps the teacher might work with the parents to put together this brown bag situation and, put something that has really strong texture in it, maybe steel wool or something, for something, just a sponge, a spoon, just various things throughout that would be there convenient in the household. Of course, something safe, but they couldn't necessarily look at it, but they'd have to reach into the bag and then feel that and find it. Again, implementing certain scavenger hunts that you might have to team with the parent and putting things in certain locations, and then the teacher giving hints as to where they might be able to find it. Go to a place that might be small and dark, might indicate under the bed or something. I'm not sure, but the teacher would have to become very creative in finding these types of new activities right there that are in the home, and using that as the new way of looking at things. Definitely, you pointed out that the video was a little dated. However, there's certain skills that we've learned, even, that are still pertinent, that students have to learn. One thing that we don't see in some of these outdoor activities, we don't see technology. And that's one thing that's very, very important, to be able to turn off the technology, turn off the television, turn off the computer screens, and find these new areas of learning opportunities. So yes, we still are dealing with the areas of the pandemic, and we're not back to normal yet, but indoor gardening, perhaps mock outdoor settings, using tents in the home and things like that might be needed as parent activities that they can maybe start and generate. I know young kids love their own little personal space. I'm really excited. You guys have heard that I am a new grandmother, and I could not wait to go and buy my grandson a teepee for his room. So I just know the importance of kids having their own space. So, having a reading center in the classroom, reading a book together, and then maybe finding some of the items that were mentioned in the book are very, very important. So thank you so much for the comments on that. Anyone else have any comments? I love this. Someone said, yeah, create a scavenger hunt. I love that idea. That's something that I've always used. Even with my college students, I've used that as far as getting them outside of the classroom, and they're always jazzed to get out of the classroom. It says here in the chat, dollar store would have many items that could go into this brown bag. Absolutely. You'd be surprised at a lot of things that students really don't know what they are. I mean, even a thimble, some kids don't really know what a thimble is, right? That's something that would be simple to put in one of these bags. Some of the household things that we just don't see anymore, but yet and still are part of crafts and things that are needed. So we just have to dig deep and get creative. Some things are going to be needed. Yes, kids need to learn the concept of sharing, the concept of throwing, pushing, pulling, sliding. All of those things are very, very important. Pretend play is very, very good. Another thing is, we talk about in the extensions and the learning extensions of bringing role play, role models. Dress up is another thing that is always a fun thing to do in the indoor activities. Arts and crafts are always something. Having students come up with their own unique artwork is very, very important as well. Exploratory play, constructive play, pretend, and gaming is just tools that are not ever going to go away. I see another comment here. It would be good for home base to third grade. Yeah, so these are different ideas definitely that we have to dig deep and find these new ways of being creative. Learning, and it's not going to go away. Teaching is not going to go away, of course, but the way we do it definitely is going to take some creativity. And it's not going to be it's not going to be something that we're doing forever and ever, but we definitely are learning to adjust. Michelle, I'll go back to you. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Okay, yeah. Well, just a little bit here. I thought we'd go over just our the lesson extensions.
Mhm.
Okay, do you see that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So here, we have the art extension, color or paint signs for the row of seeds planted in your garden. And you can also have craft activities. You can use the harvested seeds, plants, the flowers, maybe even parts of the, depending on what type of fruit it is, and have them create something with them. You were talking about the dress up just a moment ago. With the drama extension, you can have students present brief skits acting out the growth of a seed and the gardener's responsibility. And you could have a whole drama. Some of the kids could be weeds, and some could be the animals, and have just the whole drama of the garden going on in there. The ELA extension, they could document gardening responsibilities for themselves, their family, their community, how like what their family could do in the garden. Maybe their brothers or sisters can contribute, and different ones in the community. It's always good to have volunteers to help, because sometimes, depending on the school's calendar, maybe you're off for the summer and there's no one there to really maintain the garden. This is when you'd have the volunteers in the community maybe come in, pitch in, and help with the gardening responsibilities. Literature extension. Here's a few books that I suggested. One is called Planting a Rainbow by Louis Ehlert. It illustrates the responsibilities it takes each season to grow a rainbow in the spring. And another one is the National Geographic Kids Look and Learn in My Garden. It introduces the children to gardens and what it takes to run a garden. And then the social studies extension is identifying job responsibilities in the garden community. That's what maybe identifying what the students' responsibilities are, what are the teachers' responsibilities, and like I said before, family and volunteers all have different responsibilities, and just maybe have the children discuss that. And then lastly, I have a music extension. Plants they require sun, soil, water to grow, but try adding music to some of the plants. It's been documented that plants respond to music. You can explore this in your classroom or outdoors. You could actually do little experiments. You could have one section of plants that are exposed to different types of music. You can have them try some classical, folk song, jazz, whatever, rap, and see which plants respond to what. But it's interesting to see what would happen there. Another one is have your students sing songs to their plants. They could even make up their own lyrics, their own words, whatever they want to do. Just have them feel comfortable doing that. And students, they can also play instruments. to their plants, get that music flowing there. And so that's all I have for the elementary school gardening. Thank you for listening. And I just wanted to ask, did anyone have any questions, maybe regarding the extensions or any part of the presentation, or anything that they'd like to share? I had heard earlier that this planting a school garden is something that your school wanted to do, and maybe you could tell me kind of what your plans are and how far you've come or still need to go.
I was going to comment to that because we did that, I believe, 2 summers ago. A grant where it was going to be just like I focused it on gardening, and it was different. I know all the teachers had different experiences. We had one teacher that took the kids out and they got like manure from one of the local homes. I think it was manure and dirt. And then we had a parent who got involved and really helped us. Like you were talking about colorful, like a colorful bed of flowers. That's what they did for us. And it was neat. We actually had some corn growing like in some of the garden beds. And it's funny because we used those railroad ties, which have oil leaking out of them. So that was my lesson learned. Because I mean, I come from a farm and we plant, but we never use garden beds. You know, we just plant on the farm.
Yeah.
But I, you know, like going through this lesson today kind of revamped my idea about gardening, how it could still possibly happen even if we looked at it virtually, and how we could excite and teach students about that and like the lessons that come behind it, you know, the purpose of the sun and oxygen. And one thing we learned about the person who presented to us was, like you mentioned, the plants can get sunburned and they can actually burn by manure. And if you put certain plants together, like, you know, like certain corn, they're not going to complement each other and they're going to start taking each other's roots underneath. So we learn little things like that. And so this is exciting. And, you know, and I know from pre-K to 6th grade, you know, there's definitely ways that we could think of how to help the kids garden and maybe even start their own little garden at home. It could be a project, a family project that they could start on. It could be something that we could definitely provide material for. And so, and then it also, I think environmentally, it brings like color and it brings cleanliness to the school. Like, you know, our school has something growing other than just the weeds around it or the tumbleweeds. And so I really appreciate this presentation that you gave.
Oh, well, thank you. I enjoyed doing it because it's kind of like a passion of mine. I feel that way myself. I know that, I don't know, I feel like we're all have a responsibility to do our part. And I feel like, especially myself, because I'm in an apartment and I don't have a yard and I don't even have a patio, and it drives me crazy because I am a plant person. So I'm focusing on trying to grow things indoors. And right now my passion, or what I'm working with, I have little pots, and every time I eat a avocado, I plant the seed. And I'm just growing avocados, and then when they get a certain size, I give them to someone and tell them to plant them in their yard. And but I'm not a kid right now, but just, just watching that seed break open and the growth of it come out, it never gets old. It's exciting each time. And I know that I feel like if you expose children to this, they'll feel the same way. It's a connection that that we share. And like I would say, checking on plants like on a daily routine, it's like an escape. Um, um, isn't it? It isn't that we're going anywhere. It's just getting connected to where you are. So that's what I feel like. I feel like this is. I get excited when I see schools take part in this because I feel like a lot of our younger generation, um, because of technology, they miss out on a lot of this. But I feel like that it's up to us to share this with them so they stay interested in it and learn from it and can experience it.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing is that, everything has a cycle, I guess, as we evolve as humans, every maybe 20 years, just like fashion, every few years, something changes, something goes out of style, then something comes back into style that was famous 20, 30 years ago. And I really find that in our area of as educational leaders and teachers and educators, is that we have to also be aware of these cycles. Certain things in education are going to be consistent, math, learning English, grammar, scientific items, etc. They are not going to change. Those things that are really being required in our standardized testing, those are musts, no doubt. However, in our own lives, daily lives, we see things changing and evolving so rapidly, and certain things are not going to go back because there's a need for us to reconnect with nature. And the government, of course, is looking into sustainability practices and really being able to identify the importance of that. But having the families get involved with the different opportunities and to help re-nurture, this nurturing process is very, very important. Plants, I mean, look what they're doing on rooftops now, with gardening worldwide. They see the need for that. And so it'll be up to us to keep the creative juices going as well. I see Mark has a comment as well. Mark, you have something that you can share with us? You see a couple things?
Just how back in the day, I forget what cereal brand, but yeah, they used to come with a little seed growing kit in there. Yeah. And I always liked putting it together and, for about a month it would grow anyway.
Right, absolutely. I remember, cutting the milk cartons, like the old time, just a milk carton, and using that as far as your place to put your soil, etc. If you don't have any soil, go in your backyard or wherever you might find some soil, etc. Use that compost that you're, developing to come up with these ideas. And so I really do think that it is important to use, we're going back to the old school way of things, even culturally within the nations. I mean, you're so close to nature and the importance of that. And who would have ever thought that we would get away from that and what nature has to offer. And I just think that it needs to be a campaign that schools need to bring back those old school ways, and kids need to know that so they can stay grounded.
Right.
Mhm.
I just thinking too, like when Miss Benelli was saying, because they're indoors, you want to keep them with the activities. Maybe you could have them do a little herb garden in their kitchens or in their classrooms. They don't take up very much room, and you have different ones like basil and sage, and have them grow something simple. So, did anyone else have any questions or comments that they'd like to share?
I did get a bunch of seeds today from one of our
Oh.
grandparents.
Wow, look at that. It's a sign. You have the materials to start with. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so need to do it right. I'm going to hold on to them until I can, get all the other components and then send
Right.
out kits to everybody.
Right. And you can even, share with the students and make a plan.
Yeah.
Make a plan, like show them the different seeds and which ones you're going to plant first and where and how. Yeah, that's amazing. Let me check the chat real quick. Okay. Oh, it says here, I like this one. You had your students plant flowers for their Mother's Day? That is cool. But do you know what type of flowers were they, Darlene? I don't know if she can hear me.
Hold on to them and then maybe make some
I was
kits.
curious to see what type of flowers she had to plant for Mother's Day.
Oh, look at this one.
She can't hear.
You know what? Sorry that I did step away just a moment. I went out. I wanted to share a little bit more about what this is. This is the background. Can you guys see my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wanted to just show you. This is the background, the backyard of how we are. We've set up, as you can see, our garden. So these.
Very nice.
These are just those old aluminum tubs, right? And so they now act as the garden. And as you can see, it's off of the ground. And so it kind of keeps some predators away. But I just wanted to share some of the ideas that, of what you can possibly do. That's not a very good one. Let's see this one. And so these are the herb gardens that we just recently planted, and I'm just amazed. We put flowers in the center of the the container, and then we put the different herbs around it. I think this is basil, and all these are different herbs. I don't know what they are offhand, but then the next one, they just are growing incredibly. We put thyme and English thyme and basil and cilantro and all the things that we like to eat and spices with. But this area, this is where the squash that we planted. And as you can see, the yellow area, which I had no idea, starts as a flower and then turns actually into the squash comes out of it. So, I mean, as I said, it is really a big bit of excitement for us. But as I said, this is these are the 3 tubs, but these are the tomatoes and how rapidly they're growing, and the squash. I mean, it's amazing. So I really encourage you to start it. However, again, there are those famous little baby tomatoes. One other thing, let me see, did I send that? Another thing that we had is mint. And someone had mentioned earlier about the importance of, in one of those, it's like putting certain vegetables with certain other items that might help to avoid the little critters, the little bugs, etc.
Right.
I guess I didn't get the one from mint.
Basil near your tomato plants.
Yeah, and so it's just all of this new thing that we're learning, but it's so fun. So Miss Benelli, as I was saying, whatever you can use to start it, it's really something simple, and the yield is just incredible of what you do get out of that. So whatever you can get your hands on as far as building or putting something together to start your garden, it doesn't even matter. Just give it a try.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got an answer. Zinnias.
Zinnias.
Zinnias. How pretty.
Miss Pete wanted to show you her gardening project.
Yay!
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so she's right here.
Okay.
You can use the camera.
So I planted this with the student.
Okay.
This.
Zinnias.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then here is can you see it?
Wait a minute. It's the background is kind of engulfing it.
Hold on, let me take out the background.
Okay.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, look at that. That's just in a week, almost less than a week, huh?
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's very nice.
That was a great idea to do for Mother's Day, too. Yeah, thank you for sharing that and showing it to us. I was going to ask, as you progress, maybe take some pictures and let us see your progress.
Yeah. Look how excited we get over it. We're adults and we're excited. Just imagine what the kids would be, like when you're able to see something. As I said, it's like magic. It's like we go out there one day and it's just like, wow, this is something that it was nothing and now you can eat it. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. Well, Michelle, you've done an excellent job. It was very refreshing, and it's just using these new tools is vital for us to maintain learning opportunities and to stay current on the possibilities. But it does take for sure some creativity in that. Does anyone have any questions, comments that you would like to leave in the chat? That would be fine. What you liked, what your takeaways were, please do so. Again, I know you guys are very busy. It's Friday and you have something else coming. So we'll let you go ahead and go. Next week, we will dive into a new area of self-skills and empathy, and developing empathy in the classroom for our students. And I think it'll be very well needed for us to go over that as well. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'd like to say goodbye to everyone. Again, thank you so much, Michelle, for an outstanding presentation.
You're welcome. Enjoyed it.
Yes.